Hello and welcome back to our podcast with Dr. Cristi Moore of Sonora Hearing Care in Tucson, Arizona. And we just had Thanksgiving, Christmas is coming in, and
Yep.
one of the bigger topics has always been your hearing aids during the holidays.
Right.
And so, Dr. Moore, if you can kind of touch base, and I'll have questions here and there, but just kind of touch base of what that means. How do we adjust and adapt, and what can people with hearing aids look forward to, and what are the things they need to look for, uh, and adjustments with the coming holidays?
Yeah, those are great questions. So we always tell people be prepared and come see us early before the holidays, so that those hearing instruments are working to the top of their game. Because, nobody wants to have to make a phone call the day before a major holiday because their hearing aid stopped working. And sometimes we're not always available the day before a major holiday. Like with around Thanksgiving, we always take the Wednesday off before Thanksgiving as well as Friday. So our last business day before Thanksgiving is actually that Tuesday. So we want to make sure that everybody, that you get your appointments in, you keep those regularly scheduled maintenance appointments where we come in, you bring them in, and we do a thorough cleaning of the devices, make sure they are working optimally so that they are on their best behavior just in time for the holidays, so that you don't miss those important conversations around the dinner table.
I think there have been times we've kind of discussed where you have maintenance plans,
Yep.
but how far out, how soon, how close should
Yep.
somebody be doing these maintenance plans?
Yeah, so our protocol is we recommend routine maintenance every 4 to 6 months. So we recommend scheduling those in advance so that when you come in for an appointment, we're going to pre-schedule another appointment for you, especially if it's a maintenance appointment. If you need programming adjustment, we're going to schedule that too. Or if it's time for a hearing test, we're going to try to schedule those appointments and make sure that you have something before you leave our office so that again you don't put it off. Again, it's not at the last minute, so that it keeps those hearing aids working. Daily cleaning is very, very important with hearing aids, so we teach you how to clean, how to brush those microphones, how to change wax guards, making sure that all of that is keeping clean, because wax can be the number one enemy for making hearing aids not work. Moisture is the number two as well. So showing you how to put them in a dryer, or if you've got a rechargeable, most of the time those chargers are helping to dry that out as well. So those are really important things that we teach you to do on your own in between those appointments, so that again those hearing aids are working optimally when it really counts.
Couple things, but the first one just kind of fascinated me. So your
Yep.
chargers help dry.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so how does that work?
So most hearing aids now are rechargeable. So they go into a charger. So the whole hearing aid has a lithium ion battery inside of
Mhm.
it. It's all input in there. So you don't remove it, you don't open a door or anything like that. So you
Yep.
just put the whole thing into a charging well. And then it usually has a lid that closes over. And so by doing that, some of them have a built-in dryer in them. And so when you close that lid, it activates a little dryer in the charger case. And so that again helps to just kind of provide a little bit of air movement, to draw out any moisture that might be built up in those hearing aids.
That's pretty cool technology.
Yeah, it is. It really
Um,
is.
Okay, so and what we've discussed in the past too, where you're a lot of the tests will and people's lifestyles will showcase saying, hey, I would live alone, or maybe it's just a husband and wife, and they're not into the crowd scene where other folks it is the crowd scene.
Right.
What is the adjustment for somebody who says, for the 90% of the time it's a husband and wife, but now they're going out to see the grandkids with,
Yep.
visit their kids. So now it's a completely different environment than what they're used to. And how does that affect and or adjust the hearing aids? And do they come to you for those adjustments?
They could come to us for those adjustments if those haven't already been programmed into the devices. So a lot of the hearing aids now, they can have multiple listening programs in there. So we might put in a program specifically for crowd noise or group situation. Or in the automatic setting, it might have a feature in there that can adjust for that. And most hearing aids now have an app app that you can use on your smartphone that you can bring up and make some adjustments in real time. So let's say you're going to someone's house, you can pull up the app, you can take your normal hearing aid program, you can then make an adjustment to this program and save it as kind of an auxiliary program within the app. And that way you can make it sound and make adjustments so you can add more noise reduction, you can add more speech enhancement, whatever you want, and then save it as kind of this auxiliary program within the app. And that can be, your program when you go to places that are a little bit noisier. So that's one way that someone can do it on their own without having to visit their hearing care professional. And then, like I said, most hearing aids now have the ability to have multiple programs installed that you can switch to either through the button on the hearing aid or the app on your smartphone.
Now, some of the apps, they could be somewhat are they user friendly? Are they a little bit intimidating? If it is intimidating, are they able to come in and get that training from you?
Yeah, absolutely. Some of the apps are definitely more user friendly than others. And so there are some brands that have a very robust app, and it can get very complex if you want it to. There's also some apps have a more advanced mode and a basic mode. And so sometimes we've just set it up with basic mode for a patient, and that way they don't have access to those more advanced features that could, potentially get them in trouble if they
Yes.
start pushing the wrong buttons, right? But it also allows us to be able to turn that on if they do, get the hang of it and want more complex features activated for that. But yes, we can definitely teach them. Usually at fitting, we kind of teach them the basics of the app, kind of show them, give them a quick run through of this is how you go into this window, this window, this window. There's even an FAQ page on most of those apps that they can go in. There's tutorials online, and we always say there's lots of tutorials on the websites, on YouTube for these apps, and then every hearing aid manufacturer has what we call a customer support team. So we give them the phone number that they can call as well.
Everybody's in a rush. Everybody's trying to get out, and it's like, oh no, I forgot my chargers.
Yeah.
What does somebody do?
uh, they might be in a little bit of trouble.
Okay.
Unfortunately, those chargers are very specific to each brand of hearing aid and sometimes specific to a particular model of a hearing aid. So that's an unfortunate situation. We've had phone calls where we've had somebody who was traveling that was looking for a specific charger. We did happen to have one that we were able to provide, but that's not always the case. Sometimes it is one of those things where it's like if you are going to travel a lot, we always will say maybe again, make sure that you pack that charger with you, but you may want to have a secondary charger, especially if you travel, like our winter visitors, for example. Sometimes they have one charger here and one charger back home where they live, so that they aren't in that situation. But yeah, it is one of those things that unfortunately sometimes there's nothing you can do unless you're able to find a charger somewhere for those specific hearing aids.
So would a good rule of thumb be always buy a backup charger and throw it in luggage and just leave it there?
That's sometimes what we recommend. Some of the chargers, yeah, and some of the chargers too have the ability to hold a charge for several cycles. So you don't have to necessarily plug it in for a while, which is good because sometimes we've had people forget the cord. Yeah, so luckily they had a powered charger. And so they were only gone for a few days. So they were able to still charge their hearing aids. But yes, that's a good rule of thumb.
So you mentioned the cord. Are they usually
Yeah.
proprietary cables, or have
No,
everybody moved into like USB-C where
everyone's moved into pretty much USB-C with most of the chargers. However, if you have older generation technology, that may still have micro USB or a proprietary type charger. Yeah,
ideally, if you have an old charger, it may be time to maybe upgrade because the micro USBs are no longer available or
that's right.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
interesting. What would be your top three preparation for the holidays and hearing aids?
So making sure that you come in for, if it's time for your routine scheduled appointment, make sure you come in and see us before the holidays so that we can make sure those hearing aids are working. And if they do need a repair, we can get them back and forth quickly before the holidays, or we can take care of doing something here in the office. A lot of times we can take care of minor repairs here in our office, but sometimes we do have to send them in for maintenance type things that are beyond what we can do. So that's the number one thing. And then prepare, make sure that that you know the type of situation you're going into. If you're going to be in a lot of noise, make sure that you know how to operate the hearing aids properly so that when you're in that situation, you can pull up the information on your app and make those adjustments, or you can access it through the button on the hearing aids. Or if you want to have some specific programming done, we can do that ahead of time as well. And then, of course, just making sure that you have been wearing them consistently so that when you go into that situation, you're prepared, you're trained, and everything is not so overwhelming. If you never wear your hearing aids and then all of a sudden wear them when you go into a noisy environment, that's like trying to run a really long marathon without training for it.
Awesome.
We
I
know that
love
doesn't
that.
work.
So what? Yeah, most people collapse on the floor when they're first starting to run.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Right.
they haven't been running in years. Um, okay, so what kind of training? Like describe like how do you build up that endurance for those
Yeah.
loud, crowded moments?
Crowded environment. So it's like it's auditory training. So basically, it means that you're listening to conversational speech with your hearing aids. So whether that's watching television, whether that is listening to audiobooks, whether that is engaging with friends or family, even in noisy environments, just not putting the hearing aids on and not talking to anybody or not listening to any conversation. Wearing the hearing aids is really important. And if you wear them and you don't have a lot of conversation, it's not like you're doing zero good, but you're not getting the benefit of the auditory stimulation from speech and other types of environments where conversation is occurring.
So what I'm hearing is before the holidays, go eat out a lot with your hearing aids. So you're in that situation,
Yep.
and you're hearing the tables next to you, the waiters, the wait staff, dishes falling, all that stuff. For really, you're being able to train yourself, but also enjoy a wonderful meal.
There you go. And if you don't like doing that and that's just not your cup of tea, that's fine too. Then, just know that when you do go to those situations, they're going to probably be a little more, lots of auditory stimulation, right? And that can be pretty overwhelming and fatiguing. So just know that too, that it's okay to maybe step outside or step away, take a break, give your
Yes.
ears a break.
Are there ways of like baby stepping it, if you
Oh,
would?
yeah, yeah, absolutely. And especially for people that are first adjusting to hearing aids, I always say take it slow. Don't try to wear them all day for 12 hours the first week. You may want to take it slow. You may need to only wear them 4 or 5 hours a day for the first week or two, and then you gradually build up. And as you become more comfortable and as you get into that routine, and you're going to realize like, okay, this is how things are supposed to sound now, and then that will make that a lot easier process.
What's a good time frame for your adjustment in coming from more of a, husband and wife, the kids aren't around, it's very quiet, and
Yeah.
then you don't want to ramp up and throw yourself into Thanksgiving dinner or Christmas and all the kids are talking and screaming while they open up presents.
Yeah.
What are good ways, I guess, that you could baby step into that, leading into that, and how long would that take?
It's going to vary from person to person, of course, and some people just have a harder time adjusting to certain things. But I always say like, that you can put yourself in that situation if you have some, a favorite restaurant you like to go to it. You have a group of friends or a particular meeting that you like to go to, do that, see how you do. And if it's just overwhelming, don't be too discouraged. It takes time, especially when you're first adjusting to hearing aids. It can take a good 30 to 45 days to really make those changes in the auditory system. So this is an ongoing thing, and this is gets better and better with time. But again, some people adjust better and faster than others. And then there's other factors that we could go into on a whole podcast about what the auditory system is capable of doing. And so that gives a factor as well.
So now let's do the opposite, because
Yeah.
I know we can't imagine like hearing aids is going, okay, I visited, oh no, I left my hearing aids there and I've traveled back and it's going to take, 3, 4 days, maybe a week to get them shipped over and get them back in hand because, again, with the chaos of everything, you forget them. I know we can't be easily replaced like you can, like a set of earbuds going, oh no, I
Yeah.
lost the last generation. Darn, I have to buy the newest one, right?
Yep. And you
And
Amazon it next day,
exactly, right? It's there.
Right.
So what's the alternative? Like what can I do as somebody somebody who's a client or
Yep.
has hearing aids, but then I left them and now I need them for
Uh-huh.
work, for whatever situation.
Yep.
Are they able to get loaners, rentals? Like how does that?
Yeah, if you're a patient of ours and you're on a service plan that covers your office visit and things like that, that's usually something that we can provide for you. And so we may be able to, if we've got time in our schedule, that's a big factor too. We can usually, say, okay, we can provide you with something. It may not be exactly what you have, but at least it can provide you with something. And we do that kind of as a courtesy whenever we send hearing aids out for repair or end of warranty checks, is we'll go ahead and offer that as a service. So yeah.
That's fantastic. Well, and again that conversation that we've had over and over where
Yep.
it's the audiologist is the professional, but they also give you the customer service,
Yeah,
that customer relationship where they
absolutely.
can depend on you that if they did forget their hearing aids somewhere, uh,
Yep.
that they're able to get rentals if they would, and
Yeah.
do something to temporarily get them through those weeks. You mentioned about keeping them clean and just again leading up to the holidays. What's usually the process? How often should somebody clean them? Is it every 6 months? Is it once a month? Is it daily? How often?
So we teach people, we want you to clean them daily. So, there's things you're going to do each day to clean them. So you're going to wipe them off. You're going to brush out the microphones. You may, wipe off the part that goes into your ear, whether that's a dome or an ear mold. So there's going to be things we're going to teach you to do on your own daily, and then there's things we're going to do weekly. So we're going to have you check like the wax guard that collects earwax when it's in your ear, check it weekly to see if it's clogged or needs to be changed out. And if it does, then we teach you how to change that monthly. We also teach you how to change those wax guards monthly as well. And then coming in for the routine maintenance, which is kind of like similar to taking your car in for an oil change, you got to do that every few thousand miles or every so many months of driving. Same kind of thing with your hearing aids. After wearing them for 3 or 4 or 5 months, we want you to come in about every 4 to 6 months. We're going to deep clean them with special equipment that we have. Again, that gets down into those microphone ports and other areas where you can't always get into. And we're going to put them in our dehumidifier, take out any moisture that might have built up with them as well. So those are things that 2 or 3 times a year can extend the life of your hearing aids, sometimes even years. So it's a really important thing that we really feel is very important to the overall success for hearing aids. And we want happy users. And really, realistically, I want those hearing aids to last you several years. I don't want people having to replace their hearing aids every 2 or 3 years simply because they've not maintained them. I really feel that the way that hearing aids are made now and with the technology that, a good set of hearing aids can last someone 5 years or longer.
That's amazing. Well, and I love that analogy of your car, right? Because
Yeah,
everybody that when you're not maintaining, if you're not changing the oil,
right.
that car is only going to last you 3 or 4 years, and you
Yeah.
hope, right, before it sludges up and wow, or it starts burning and wow, and
Or
you're
the
not catching
engine.
it. Yeah,
Yeah, the engine blows up, and
yeah,
that's always the biggest thing that you do. So whether you do an oil change professionally or you do it yourself, that's still something you have to do to maintain. And that's not just recommended by the car manufacturer, which it is, but that, as you know, that's going to keep the life of that car running more efficiently as well. So you can drive that car longer than maybe it's recommended.
that
Absolutely.
I love that analogy. Okay, so somebody's jumping on the plane.
Yep.
And I know we've kind of discussed this in some blogs and viewer, if you're able to visit Dr. Moore's website and we have blogs there. And I know we've kind of discussed this in the past about flying, and there's certain benefits having hearing aids and what you, I
Yeah.
guess, are privileged to. I don't know if it's really privileged, but I know there's some assistance
Yeah.
for your hard of hearing and hearing impaired and what the airlines are able to do.
Yeah, and again, it depends on the amount of hearing loss that a person has, but hearing loss is protected under the Americans with Disabilities Act. So there's accommodations that can be made if you are someone who is hard of hearing. You can make sure that you're notified of your gait. You can make sure that you have someone that can notify you for announcements, things like that. A lot of times you don't have to carry any kind of special card or anything like that. that. But if you're going through security, you can just let them know, hey, I wear hearing aids. A lot of times they will just pass you through. A lot of times you can just walk right through the scanners with your hearing aids on. They're not going to trip it. It's not going to cause them to malfunction or anything like that. So that's good there. And then some airports do have technology built in. Auracast is something that has been, it's a new type of Bluetooth technology that's coming available. It's going to be more, it's really available mostly in Europe right now, but it is making its way into the US. And is going to become more and more of the norm that we're going to see. And that is sort of like a way to have that type of technology that you can have on your phone. And if your hearing aids pair to your phone, you can then sort of plug into an Auracast or a Bluetooth channel. So, like if you're in an airport, that airport has Auracast, you could actually plug into the speaker at a particular gate and then hear all the announcements through your phone, through your hearing aids. Through Arcast. And so that is an amazing type of technology that we're excited. Probably in the next 5 years, it's going to be more of the norm than it is right now. And so that's going to be exciting because that's going to mean really, that's going to open up a wide range of being able to access public places better than we've ever had before. And so that's a really exciting thing to look
That's an
forward to.
amazing new technology.
Yeah, it is. It's really, really cool. So a lot of hearing aids have it built in right now. But so there are a cast ready, but again, the technology isn't ready quite yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, exactly.
Still forward thinking, and I guess that comes back again to
Yeah.
that longevity of the hearing aid, of taking care of
Yes.
the monthly maintenance, because you're going to be able to take advantage of that within 3 to 5 years of
Yeah.
that implementation. And I'm sure it'll
Yeah.
happen in larger airports, but
Yeah.
again, when you're traveling for the holidays, that's absolutely phenomenal. Is there technology similar to that while somebody's driving?
They're not necessarily while they're driving, unless you have some type of a portable hearing loop type system. So if your hearing aids have telecoil and you happen to have a portable loop, that's something that you could have available to that. And those are available in certain places too. But right now, not that I'm aware of that there's anything specific with that, but I imagine we'll probably have Auracast available in cars too at some point.
Yeah, that'd be pretty amazing. I mean, I guess technically you have your phone and you have
Yeah.
and so your navigation's being fed in through the ear, but it would be very interesting in some cases when somebody is using the Bluetooth device on the phone or they have it
Yeah.
connected, but you can pull up maps, your
Yes.
own navigation. It would be very, very interesting to see if they would be able to plug that in. I'm assuming at some point with all the smart cars and Tesla and
Abs-
everybody else, like you would be able to
Absolutely.
incorporate it.
Yeah, and a lot of cars, now car companies are coming up with their own type of proprietary systems, for that are replacing CarPlay and Android Play and things like that. So I imagine that will be available. Of course, we'll have to think about the idea of safety and things like that, of having something go directly into your ear versus having it come out through the speaker, that type of thing too. So I'm sure there's going to be some pros and cons with that too, as far as making sure that if you have a navigation system going auditorily into your hearing aid, is that going to make sure that you're able to hear what's going on around you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's very interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah.
How should these hearing aids be stored during travel? I'm assuming, much like anything else, they're able to go through the metal detectors or
Yeah.
through the X-ray machines, things like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
But are there other like tips when you're wearing them, but then you're putting stuff away? Like, do they
Yeah.
have something like should somebody like AirTag them? Do they have that same type of
Yeah.
technology where it can ring when you need to find it?
Well, I mean, you can probably put an AirTag on your hearing aid charger yourself. You could definitely do that. If you have it hooked up to a smartphone, you can have the Find My, like that's available on like your iPhones and things
Mhm.
like that. Android probably has something similar to that too. So that way you can kind of have a navigation of like it'll tell you where it was last recognized or found. So at least that way you can kind of have a pinpoint of, okay, it was here before. But yeah, but AirTags are small enough and sticky now. You can put them on just about anything. So yeah.
Yeah. Any other tips for just navigating the holiday season.
Yeah, just have fun. Just remember to have fun and enjoy the time that you have with loved ones and friends and family. Or if you enjoy, spending that time by yourself, that's good too. But no matter what you do, just make sure that you're ready and prepared, and that you make that holiday season and fun season.
Now, Dr. Moore, let's say somebody again, oh my goodness, I've lost it. I don't know where I left that charger. It tumbled out somewhere. Where
Yep.
can they find you to replace those?
Oh, that would be good. So they can find us at sonorahearingcaretucson.com. We are located in Tucson, Arizona, 5977 East Grant Road, Suite 115B, like boy. And 85712 is our zip code. And our phone number is 520-881-8740. And so that's a good way to get in touch with us. Like I said, sometimes we have some chargers in stock. But if not, we can maybe get one ordered. Sometimes it takes a few days for us to get that, but we'll do our best to help in that situation, because we know that that's an inconvenience, and nobody wants that. So we do our best to try to help in those situations the best we can.
Awesome. And viewer, please like, subscribe, and you guys have happy holidays and enjoy your time, whether it's rest, whether it's with grandkids, whether it's just with your family, just be able to get together and enjoy that time. And we'll see you next year.